Hey, it's a great pleasure to welcome Clark Beckham to our breakout audience. Clark, thanks for joining us today. It's something I've been looking forward to.
Oh, great. Well, that's nice of you to say. I'm honored to be here and just appreciate the company. Looking forward to our talk.
Well, in case any of our readers aren't familiar with you, Clark, I'm going to give just a quick bio. And if I have anything wrong, please fix it. But Clark, you're a songwriter and a worship leader, I believe, but best known or most commonly known as the runner-up in American Idol on season 14, I believe. Currently living in Nashville. And Clark, you write and perform both mainstream music and Christian music, and and you are a great talent. Someone that I am looking forward to following your career. So, did I get that right?
Yeah, that was all. That was all right. That was on the money.
Awesome. Well, listen, I've been listening to your music. We're playing it on our sister station, Worship Road Radio, here in Vancouver. And I'm sure you get a ton of questions about American Idol. You've answered 1,000 times, but let's focus more on where you've moved since then and how your career is moving. So I've heard you referred to as a Christian John Mayer. Is that
Cool.
fair? Is that good?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I'm happy with that description.
Well, you have a mix of soul and R&B and pop and CCM all at the same time. Kind of talk to us about how that came together and how the Clark Beckham brand has developed with that very interesting but very cool mix.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where what music are you listening to in your developmental years? And for me, I listen to a lot of different things, but certain things will really grab you and certainly did me. So when I was a kid from probably 7 to 15, all I listened to, um, my Mount Rushmore is Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles, Marvin Gaye, and Al Green, and then heavy influence by the Beatles and Billy Joel. So that was kind of my upbringing and my formation as far as musical taste goes. And so when it came to American Idol time or even my independent artistry time after Idol, that's the music that resonated the most with me. And that's the music that came out of my soul just naturally, and what God called me to do as far as sonically, like to make that kind of stuff. So it's one of the simpler but more difficult questions that I ever answer is when someone says like what is your genre? Like what's your style?
Hmm.
And I say something like some convoluted answer like soul R&B singer songwriter jazz inspired pop music kind of. I just don't know, but I also find comfort in it, knowing that I don't really need to know. And a lot of the greatest artists of all time and bands of all time have the same issue. You know what genre is John Mayer, for example?
Hmm.
You could call it rock, but I mean you call it soul, but you could call it R&B, but like it not quite any of those things. And I think that's totally okay. But that was my background and how I've fallen in love and growing up in church too. So then there's the gospel aspect of things. So that's kind of how I've found myself here.
That's kind of an all-star list, right? I mean, Billy Joel, Marvin Gaye, the Beatles, Stevie Wonder.
Mm-hmm.
That's uh, that's some Hall of Fame background. And you know what I love about that is you can't be put into a box. It's really Clark Beckham, and it's not anything else. And that background is very unique to me, and I think it comes through in your music. I watched a video of you performing at the River Worship outside of Toronto,
Mm-hmm.
and it was inspiring. Do you enjoy leading worship like that?
Yeah, I do. I do as a just by the factor of I love God, I love worshiping, I love leading people into that space. As far as a like total pursuit of like a full career in that, God has not called me to that. I am a guest worship leader all the time, and I really enjoy
Hmm.
that. Like at the river, this weekend I'm going to Biloxi, Mississippi
Hmm.
to preach, but also to lead worship there. And then a couple days later, going to Dallas to do the same thing. So I lead worship a lot, and I really enjoy it, and it's been a huge ministry for me. But it is not. You'll never see me unless God tells me. You'll never see me pursuing a worship leading career in the vocational terminology of what we think of as a worship leader. Of course, we're leading worship no matter what we do.
Sure.
But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. It's a powerful thing, and I love doing it, but it's not necessarily what God's called me to do full time.
Well, if you get bored, I would vote for a live worship album when you're leading worship. I think that would be awesome because you're really, really good. Um,
Thank you.
so when you see your career and the path that your career is on, again, you are, I think, uniquely not put into a box or defined into a corner. So I'm curious, just myself, how do you see your career arc moving and where's that going?
Great question. And because I'm really hard to put in a box or in a corner, I have really struggled finding a team that will back me. You know what I mean? Because it's way easier financially to find someone who isn't a pretty box because it's like, oh, we know
Sure.
how to sell that. But me, someone who says, hey, I've got a worship album that is me singing worship covers of songs that we all sing in church that everybody knows, but in a different way, in like a soulful, jazz inspired way. Um, and I'd like to, that'd be my next project. Oh, great. You're going to do the Christian route now.
Wow.
Not necessarily. Because after that, I want to do all of my original music. And I don't write Christian. And this, again, when I say Christian music, I specifically mean the genre of Christian music that you would find on the
Sure.
radio. I don't write that Christian music well. I've tried for a long time, and it's just not where I'm gifted. It's just not.
Mm.
And so when I write songs, I'm writing them about heartbreak, about love, about God's creation as I see it through redeemed eyes. That's kind of my bread and butter when it comes to creating music and what God called me to do primarily. And so when I tell a label that, they're like, well, what the heck are we supposed to know? That's not going to work. And finally, I was I spoke with NCS Records, National Christian Songwriters Records,
Yep.
and they love the worship stuff that I played them. And then I played them originals, and they're like, we love this stuff too. Let's sign you up. And so I signed my first record deal with them, and we're doing it all.
And Mystery came under NCS, as I
Mm-hmm.
recall. Is that right?
Yep.
Man, that's a great song.
Thank you.
Um, so I have a question for you because I think you're uniquely able to answer it. But one thing we do at Worship Road Radio, we have no ads, we have no fundraising, so we have a lot of inventory. We just play music. And we define worship music as any music that inspires you to worship, which many
Mm.
of your songs may not have been written that way, but I certainly think could fit that definition. But one genre that I cannot find is, and I think it'd be great, Christian jazz, or jazz rather that's written with a Christian theme. Have
Mm-hmm.
you ever run across that? Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, I know there it's a very small niche, but my I have a friend Mark Barlow who murders that. I mean, that is what
Really,
God fashioned him to do.
Mark
And he
Barlow.
is fantastic. Mark Barlow.
I'm glad I asked.
Um and I've thought of that, sure, and that's been kind of like, oh great, well, great, I'll just do that. But I don't know what it is. When I try to write Christian lyrics, they come across cornier than a cornfield in Indiana. I don't know where they grow corn, but I mean, it is just the corniest stuff. And I'm telling you, man, I can preach, I can, uh, I can, I can teach, I can talk all day long about God and his goodness and everything he's done in my life and the complexities and the beauties of his mystery. But for some reason, when I get into a songwriting room and I'm trying to write a Christian song, it just doesn't work. It's just not. And maybe I've even thought that it was God being like, that's not your path. Don't do that. Like, I'm not going to let you write good songs in that path because that's not what I have for you. I have for you something else. There's this great book called Accidental Pharisee that I recently read. And there's just a small quote in it that was so fantastic. And I hope I can remember it decently enough, but it says basically there are people that are called to industries that would be otherwise untouched by God. That's me.
I
I
love
am
that.
ultimately called to um, segments of society, I think is actually what he says. Segments of society that would otherwise be untouched. So that's the music that pours out of me is those the music that those that segment of society really digs, and that is my favorite stuff. I love to be honest with you, the only Christian in the room. I love it because I get this huge opportunity to show everyone else in that room who's probably not around Christians very much or at all what Christ-like love looks like. And just, I know this may not have been what we were supposed to talk about in the interview, but just by the way, Christ like love doesn't look like a giant smile and just being
Hmm.
really nice and quoting scripture to people and saying churchanese stuff. It's not what it looks like. It looks like loving other people more than yourself. And that just alone, you just do that, you're going to stand out in a crowd. And then later they find out
Hmm.
naturally after they've grown to like you and respect you that you are a Christian, all of a sudden their ears perk up and their hearts just a little bit more open to the idea of Christianity. That is like that's my I believe that's exactly what God made before.
I hope that that's one of your sermons because
Hmm.
that is so powerful. It's
Thank
so
you.
right on. I think one of the challenges of the Christian music industry, and I used to be on the GMA board in Nashville. I think one of the challenges has been we've tried to fit music and songwriting into a formula, a very narrow formula for a very narrow demographic. Yet the gospel tells us to use these worship for everybody, not some targeted demographic named Becky, right? And
Hmm.
so I think that that's really, really inspiring. Um, and I think that that's exactly where the creativity that God puts on your heart has to go. Would you say that the Christian music industry is evolving to a place of greater creativity based on your broad experience over the last years?
I would say yes. I would say there are a lot of um, major artists and churches that produce music in the congregational worship space are getting more they're being they're opening themselves up to more complexity in chords and harmony and melody and like elevation and
Yeah.
some songs that I've heard from Elevation Rhythm are just I could just listen to on repeat forever. And I typically this is such an interesting take for me to have in this environment and on this magazine and everything. And as a Christian, um, but like I typically don't listen to worship music or to Christian music. I'm typically listening to those, Marvin Gaye, Al Green, Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles, Paul McCartney, Billy Joel. Those guys are who I listen to. John Mayer, that's just who I listen to most. But Elevation Rhythm, man, I could listen to them all day long, and they've really cracked the code. So yes, I absolutely see that it's getting bigger. I think where it's a hyper focused formula and a box that everybody wants to try to get into and fit into is when you're looking at um, commercial success, like radio success, high sales, bigger touring numbers. Because at that point, it's the music business. And if you're going to be a good businessman or businesswoman, you need to have assets um, that are low risk and high reward. And we have a formula that we found do really well. And there are a lot of Beckys out there that need to hear the gospel. And this is a great way to do it. If we do it just like this and
Yeah.
repeat, it'll work. Now, will it touch the hearts of everyone else that outside of it? Maybe not. And maybe we're getting narrow. But I do see that Christian music as a whole is starting to have all these different mediums of capturing all different types of people.
Yeah, well, that's encouraging. I was sponsor of Lecrae's first national tour.
Wow.
And so in touring with him, we ran into all kinds of people that said, "Oh, this is this is not fitting the formula. Like this will never work. What are you doing?" There was a large radio network in the States that wouldn't even accept advertising from Lecrae because it's not, our audience doesn't listen to it. Well, in retrospect, we know that that's false. And you see what Forrest Frank has done, the same
Mm-hmm.
thing. Well, no one signed him. No one wants that. So, I consider you in that same camp. Just the breadth. If you listen to your music in your heart, I think you can see through that to who you are, and it's inspiring to me. Um, Corey Asbury recently did an album of covers.
Mm.
Have you ever done any covers of songs you like?
I do covers a lot, actually. Maybe arguably too many for to be a true artist, but I do covers a lot. I've written a lot of songs, but no, I love doing covers. And this project that's coming out next is all covers.
And talk to us about that. When's it going to come out, and when can we hear it?
Yeah, the first single comes out pretty soon, I think in April. And it's I've got so many titles that sound the same to me. Like How Great Are You, Lord? Great Are You, Lord. Graves into Garden, Goodness of God. I Could Sing of Your Love Forever. All of those, there's a single coming out in April, and then the whole thing comes out in I believe May. And that is just me and the piano. And it's me taking these songs that we all know, but doing them in a way that no one's ever heard them done before. And it's just how I play when it's just me and the piano and God, and I'm playing the chords that I've learned to love through the years of listening to Stevie Wonder and Brian McKnight and Ray Charles and those guys, and singing the way that my heart wants me to sing in those moments.
Well, I heard there was talk that that was going to happen, and I got to tell you, are you going to do any live performances? Just you and a piano and these covers?
Totally. Like you mean like just live events?
Yeah, you're going to be
Oh
doing
yeah.
any tours or any one-offs? I mean, where could my readers and myself ever watch you live on this new
Yeah,
project?
we're booking a tour right now actually for the summer and the fall, and we've got a handful of dates booked, but we're waiting to get more confirmed before we actually make like a tour poster and post it. But the best way to make sure that you see when it comes out is clarkbeckham.com. I've got an email list that you can sign up for that all of those dates will be being announced and sent out to all of those people. Also, I'm pretty active on Instagram, all the social media stuff. I'll post it everywhere all the time, but especially on Instagram is where I'm most active. ClarkBeckham.com is kind of a catch-all.
Well, that's fantastic. I doubt that you're looking at Canada, but talk to your management. Someday we'd love for you to get up to Canada.
Where
I
at?
think, well, Vancouver is where I am, but anywhere in Canada, you're going to find hungry, authentic fans who can't wait to hear it because not a lot of people come up here. So I just throw that out there, Clark. Listen, last question. In all the interesting experience you had in both mainstream and the Christian side, I'm talked to a lot of young artists, a lot of artists that are just trying to do the hustle and break through. What advice would you give them?
The advice I would give them is don't look out to find your niche. Like don't look out to find like what where you could fit. Look inside, look inward, and how has God formed you up to this point to make art? How what songs, what artists, what styles of music speak the most to you and do you love that have crafted this beautiful music making soul that you have? What music comes from there? And then
Yeah,
if you do that in an authentic way and you do your due diligence of studying the craft, singing, playing, songwriting, whatever comes from there, there will people will make a place for that to fit. And it will always fit in a a way that you in a way that you could never find a good place if you were trying to copy somebody else, even someone that's really close to what you do. If you just find that kind of forsake all opinions from everybody else and be like, what is it, what speaks to me the most deeply? What kind of music, what kind of chords and style and things and art, and just create from there. Everything else will take care of itself.
so follow what God puts on your heart and throw away the formulas. Am I hearing that right?
Yep.
Clark, it's been so fun talking to you. I can't wait to see you perform live. And I appreciate you coming on for our guests. And I know that we're going to be promoting that new project that's coming out, first song in April and the album in May. So thank you so much.
I really appreciate it, Scott. Thanks.